Arts has made a tradition of producing a family-friendly Christmas show every year. It's from It's a Wonderful Life to White Christmas to A Christmas Story, Miracle on 34th Street, Christmas Carol. They're joyful shows and optimistic shows, and they're filled with characters connecting with one another, buoyed by the hope and the joy of the season. This year, we decided to strike out into some bold new territory by commissioning a brand new play with music that fulfills all of those needs. Christmas in the Airwaves is being written currently by Patrick Bray. We'll be having a script reading, our first script reading next week. It will be directed by Ivy Award-winning director Craig Johnson, and will have its world premiere on the Main Street stage this season, which is very exciting. So to tell us a little bit more about the show is Daniel Ellis, who directed last year's A Christmas Carol, Ghost Story of Christmas, and who has been very involved in helping us bring this new show to life. So Daniel, would you like to come join us on stage? Mr. Daniel Ellis, everybody.
We'll deal with it. Before we talk about Christmas on the airwaves, we first need to take a scheduled break for our regular broadcast. It's Christmas time here in Anoka. We hope you're keeping warm, sitting by your fire with your family, counting each and every one of your blessings. And while we're counting those blessings, we're also counting the family relations. Oh no, so many visitors at this time of the year. What a headache. I'm sure every one of you has had a headache or pain remedy that you swear by. But have you noticed that on some occasions those fail you? That there are times that it doesn't seem to work? Well, on these occasions, let me suggest that you try Anacin. For in Anacin, you will find the fastest, most complete pain relief you'll ever experience. The reason is simple. Anacin contains not one pain-killing agent, but 4. One of those which is probably in the pain reliever you now customarily choose to relieve pain. And you can get it at your drugstore for just a few cents, or your money back if you're not pleased. I'll spell the name, A-N-A-C-I-N, Anacin. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. So, to kind of give you a little bit about what Christmas in the Airwaves is, I first kind of probably need to go back and kind of tell you how this little project got started. So, last year, after doing Christmas Carol, Laura approached me and was like, we really would like you to kind of look at doing the Christmas show again, but we've got some possibilities. And I said, great. So I said, send me the possibilities and, we'll take a look and see what it is. And we arranged to basically talk by phone. So I read the couple of things that we'd looked at and got to the point that I was supposed to call Laura. And I called Laura, and I wasn't ready for the plays that we were looking at. We wanted to look, after doing Christmas Carol and seeing how much of a community that Anoka and what Lyric Arts does for the community here, those plays didn't speak to me. So I came to Laura all prepared to pitch a new play. Now, being a director, that is one of the scariest things you can ever possibly do to an artistic director, especially an artistic director that you've only worked with once. It takes lots of research. It takes treaties of, that PhD professors of like Scott over there would appreciate and would, get you a job making far more money than a theater director does. I was all prepared. I was prepared for that. I was prepared to go toe-to-toe with Laura to pitch a new play. I was ready for the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and it was going to happen. And as we're sitting there, I make a joke and say, I'm trying to figure out how to break into that introduction on pitching a new play. And I said, we'd be far better off just doing our own work. And one of the two most words in the English language that can completely disarm a director came out of her mouth. I was at a loss for words. It doesn't happen often. She said the word, okay. I didn't know what to say. And I'm sure the awkward pause on the phone was probably enough for 2 or 3 semis to go through. I suddenly was working with a wonderful artistic director who was giving me the power to create something new for this community. And that is an amazing feeling. So we suddenly put our heads together and came up with this idea of Christmas on the Airwaves. And I had worked with a very close friend of mine named Patrick Bray in my years of New York, and we had been looking for a project to actually work with each other. And the stars and serendipity just aligned, and everything worked out, and we were able to get John for this project. This play is set in 1944, on December 18th, 1944, which is right after the announcement of the Battle of the Bulge. It is a program about a young town with a radio station that gets the opportunity to put on their first international radio program for the soldiers overseas. And all the things that can go wrong when you're doing your first radio program for the international radios over the broadcast overseas. You're going to meet a lot. You're going to meet 8 different characters in this play. This play from everyone from the station manager to the Welsh sisters to Max Tyrone, who's coming back home from his working for WABC in New York, all the way down to our Foley guy who doesn't say a lot of words but has some pretty poignant things to say. And in that, all that process and finding out about the things that are happening overseas, you're going to see these characters relate not only to the people that they're in the room with, but also with each other, with their connections over the seas, with their things that they're not telling on stage, not telling each other. And through that, we see a world and a community growing. It's going to be a program that you're going to have lots of fun with. There's lots of great radio songs. There's going to be lots of radio skits. You'll hear The Shade. You're going to hear Private Eye Detective. You're going to hear The Flying Amazement, as well as some radio commercials and things like that as well. But you're also going to see what it takes to do what we do, which is how we put up a thing on stage for you. You're going to see a lot of what the backstage looks like. You're going to see a lot of what it takes as a community to build a show and to build a thing for the Christmas spirit. So I hope you come to see Christmas on the Airwaves. It's going to guarantee to be a fun, extremely funny, and extremely poignant time. Thank you.